answering your questions verbally or through the chat. So feel free to add your questions in the Q&A window. Use that function in particular. And what we will be doing is we will have the thumbs up. So try to use that. And when we have the most voted questions, we will be raising that to our experts live. What else? This session will be recorded, as you can see. And yeah, as I said, there are moderators to help you. Don't spam the Q&A, ask your questions. We are here to help you, and we'll try to answer as much as question as the time would allow us. And with that, I don't have a further ado. I will move forward to introduce you to our lovely team, and I will allow them to do that themselves. So I will start with Megan. Megan, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. So lovely to meet everyone here today. My name is Megan Davis-Daniels, and I am a training program manager here at Microsoft. And I'm very excited for the next 30 minutes, hoping to have a really interactive session and hopefully can answer as many questions that you have as possible. I'll introduce now Chris.
Thanks, Megan. And I work in the same team as Megan, so I work in worldwide learning here at Microsoft. I look after certification, learning journeys. I'm more closely aligned to the healthcare industry, so I look after our amazing NHS and then other pharmaceutical companies too. We're a team of 5 or 6 inside this country, so we look after different industries. And we just get really excited talking about Microsoft certifications and the value that that brings. So with that, back to Anastasia.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Megan. Anastasia, I'm in the same organization, and I'm the EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa Marketing Manager working with learning partners and extended muscle of Microsoft. So for that, since I don't see a lot of questions in the chat, so I would currently encourage you and motivate you to put any questions on the chat window or in the room. I thought to warm things up, to ask a first question to Christopher. And I think maybe it's a good time to tell us, how do we think like certifications impact a technical professional career? How about organizations, Chris?
Yeah, so how like specifically certifications impact individuals, and I think you mentioned organizations as well. I actually have a certification report on my desk here. It's actually the Pearson VUE. So if you're not aware, Pearson VUE, if you've ever taken a Microsoft exam, these are the proctors for the exams, and they've published this value of IT certification report, and it's actually just chock full of basically candidates who have gone through exams. 29,000 candidates have taken their questionnaires, so they can start to give us some insight into what actually does an individual gain from certification. So 29,000 candidates were interviewed, and in this report I've actually taken down some really startling statistics, some fantastic statistics really, on what individuals feel they get from becoming Microsoft certified. So I've just got a couple here. That 90% reported that it increased their confidence in a technical role, which is really interesting. 76% reported greater respect from peers inside their organization. Another 76% also said it increased job satisfaction, and 74% said they had greater autonomy and independence. So that's huge numbers of people who are taking those certifications and seeing some amazing results. There's also a report that I like from a company called IDC, and IDC basically suggested, they summarized that people who were certified basically perform better and they're more productive inside their organization. You know, they're performing better than individuals who had the same responsibilities. They were giving more output and being a lot more productive. And then for organizations, specifically with organizations, they're benefiting from that increased productivity. They're benefiting from that increased confidence. But also, you know, when you've got an organization that's investing into their people with a learning culture, so that they're saying, hey, go and take those learning journeys, go take those certifications, they're seeing staff retention. You know, they're feeling invested in. And also it helps with talent attraction as well, because you're going to say to prospective employees, hey, when you come with us, we're employing the right people and we can train you through a Microsoft certification process so that actually you can be certified to do the role at a later point. So there's huge benefits for individuals and for the organization to be Microsoft certified. Hope that helps.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Christopher. And now, considering build the, let's say the primary audience is developers. Question to you, Megan. Should developers care about Microsoft certification?
I mean, yes, absolutely. In terms of thinking around, Microsoft certifications that we're discussing here today, Microsoft builds a really extensive portfolio of role-based training and certifications that help align with today's job market. And in terms of job requirements today, Chris and I and Anastasia are really seeing a continuous movement and involvement of skills needed across job requirements today to match to any role within the technological market. That could be, for example, a developer, but also we're seeing a continuous expansion of skills needed across areas such as data and AI, IoT, data science, and more really. And continuing on from the research that Chris spoke about a second ago, we have found that, in fact, a skill today normally lasts about 5 years. And, working with Microsoft certifications will always help you advance your career. It will validate that your skills that you're learning today are relevant in the market because our certifications match to the job requirements needed today. And it's always good to continue learning and, really test your technical ability, your skill set, and get more experiences, really.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. Before we go to the chat, I had another question back to Christopher. I think Megan touched a little bit the fundamentals and role-based. So Christopher, would you be happy to explain to our audience what is the difference between fundamentals, role-based, and specialty certification?
Yeah, of course. So we have basically 3 different types of certification that you can strive for. So the first type is our fundamentals types of certifications. There's quite a few of those. There's one for Azure fundamentals, there's Power Platform fundamentals, M365 fundamentals, security fundamentals. There's quite a few of different subject matters. The idea for the fundamentals certifications is that learning should be approachable by anybody. It's purely optional learning, but that'll give you that foundational knowledge around that particular subject matter. The content lasts around maybe 5 to 10 hours worth of content typically to learn through a fundamentals exam. So it really is applicable to anybody to be able to go ahead and get that certification, which is really cool. When we jump into more of the technical world, we have what we call our role-based certifications. They come in 2 flavors, associate and expert, just shows the difficulty level. The dedication increases to maybe 40, 50 hours worth of study, if not more. But they're really there to improve those industry skills. We've got so many different types of role-based certification that we try to keep up to date and relevant for industry skills right now. And then we've got our speciality certifications. Our speciality certifications are basically what's in the tin. They're specialists towards a certain product or a certain platform that might not necessarily be a Microsoft platform. It might be something like SAP running on Azure, something like that. But also we've got speciality around virtual desktop on Azure. We've got speciality around running IoT on Azure and those sorts of certifications. So you can see we've got those 3 different tiers, like very different tiers, fundamentals, the role-based, and then we've got those speciality certifications as well. And speciality they are more in the realm of very technical. So you're still talking about that 30 to 50 hours worth of study time.
Thank you, Christopher. And Christopher, maybe since you are in the room and chat, we have one question on the chat, and I know that percentages are not 101 always known by all of us, but the question is what percentage of people who certify use self-study materials versus training led, which I think that's personal preference, but I leave you, Chris, to answer based on your experience.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What we see is Of course, instructor-led comes with a cost typically, but it's a preferred way to learn. You've got an instructor you can ask questions to, might not be accessible to all. So Microsoft Learn is a free, great platform where it's the exact same content. We call it the Microsoft official curriculum because it is all that you need to know to pass the exam in that curriculum. So what we find is even people who do attend instructor-led training might actually go back to Microsoft Learn and use that free content to say, hey, you know what, I've been doing the network administrator training. I'm good with 90% of it, but TCP/IP is really challenging me. I'm going to go back to Microsoft learn that module, and really brush up on those skills I need for either my role or to pass certification. So I wouldn't say the percentage is the thing to look at there. It's actually using everything that's available to you, all of your learning resources, to be able to get the knowledge you need to pass that exam or to get that knowledge to operate in that role.
Exactly. And there are so many resources, right, Christopher? Microsoft Learn, our learning partners, GitHub. We have a lot of resources available for the learners that match your learning style. So thank you. Megan, I'm going back to you, and we touched a little bit certifications all up. But I think we recently also introduced the certification renewal process. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. But as well, one thing I also wanted to add to the previous question was the importance around sort of accessibility as well with this. So, for example, as Chris said, all the learning pathways on Microsoft Learn are free, they're accessible to all, and they're readable online content. And that may suit your personality. You may prefer to learn in that manner. And because, as I said before, accessibility is so important to Microsoft, you may prefer to be able to read content in your own space, in your own environment. And also as well, it gives you the flexibility to be able to learn while also doing your day job. But also, okay, so going back to the renewal process. So as I said at the beginning of the session, our Microsoft certifications align to the current job market, but they also align to what we here at Microsoft perceive to be the right skills to match today's ever-changing technological world. And the skills created, or sorry, the skills tested, should I say, help enable tech professionals to be future ready. And so their skills stay current. And we believe that a certification, therefore, should be renewed on a yearly basis. So unlike our MCSA, MCSE, MCSD certifications, our role-based certifications expire on that yearly basis so that we can keep evolving and moving forwards as technology grows, but also as the job market continues to evolve as well.
Thank you very much, Megan. It's a a simplified way to renew your certification. We have another question from the chat. I'm just going to read through. And Christopher or Megan, feel free to take up yourself. Are there any new certifications due to come out this year? Also, is there anywhere online where can I find out about upcoming certification? I would only say that in the next slide, I will have some certifications that they were announced yesterday during the Microsoft Build. But anything you would like to add, Megan or Christopher, about upcoming certifications?
Yeah, I can take that one. Our process of releasing new certifications is we have a process of releasing them in a beta stage. So when we release a new certification, some of the exciting ones that recently came out was the AZ800 and 801, which is about using on-prem infrastructure and the cloud together for best outcomes. So when we release those on a Microsoft official blog. So you can search for that official blog where we release those beta exams. The interesting thing with beta exams is you're beta testing those exams for us. They might get tweaked through the duration. And I quite often get asked, how long does the exam stay in beta? Well, it basically depends on how many people actually take that exam, so we can get enough information to be able to release it to general availability. Does mean you can take that exam in beta. That's not a problem. I suppose the downside for you is you don't get your results until it goes to general availability, but you will get your results as soon as it goes general availability. Where typically with a Microsoft exam, you get it on the, as soon as you take the exam, you get the results immediately after. But yeah, that's our process, beta, general availability, and that's how you can see the new ones coming out for looking for those beta certifications.
Yeah. And Christopher and Megan, I'm just going to take this moment to go one slide forward, and then we can continue with questions. Since you mentioned, I hope you can see my screen. And here is the overview of certifications that they announced during Build. As you can see, again, I think, Chris, you touched beta. Maybe you want to walk through these that they were just launched. I think yesterday they were announced. Is that okay? Christopher, can you hear me?
Oh, myself? Yeah,
Yeah.
I can work through those. That's not a problem. So yeah, exciting new technologies there that we're releasing. So the Power Automate RPA Developer Associate. This is amazing because our selection of Power Automate certifications, we've had an app maker certification, we've had a developer certification, we've got a RPA Power Platform consultant certification, and we think we've really been missing the RPA developer, and I think this is a developer community, so this is going to be really exciting. So that's a brand new certification that's just been released in beta, the PL 500. The cybersecurity, the SC100, we released, I think about 8 months ago, our security stack of certifications. I was so excited. So we've got the new fundamentals, the new SC900. Then we had the SC200, 300, and 400. One was about identity protection. One was about compliance and identity. So lots of different security certifications. And it felt like we were missing this SC100, which is the architect of security solutions. So we find this is the SC100 is our new expert level certification, just come out for security as well. And I typically recommend looking at the SE200, 300, or 400 first, and then specialize and become the architect of those technologies, which is super cool. You'll notice here the Microsoft 365 Exchange Online Support Engineer speciality. We've really been fleshing out our M365 secure path recently as well, so that's an exciting one. And then we've got the Microsoft Certified Support Engineer for Connectivity Specialist. This is more around those VoIP solutions, so that's really exciting. And then we've got the Data Analyst, the Microsoft Certified Enterprise Data Analysis. We did have, we've got our Data Analyst course at the moment, the PL300, that's the Power BI course, but that isn't the entire world of Data Analyst, right? So this is a brand new exciting certification to be covering all of those different technologies inside Data Analyst as well. So you can see the pace of change that we're adding new certifications and updating certifications. It's coming thick and fast as well. So lots of new beta exams to look forward to if you're interested in any of those technologies.
Thank you so much, Christopher, for clarifying and walking us through. I'll go back to another question. Megan, we had this, like I said, the primary audience of this event are developers. So I thought maybe we want to have a bit more clarification. If we have any certification for developers and what developer related learning content is available for them.
Yeah, so carrying on from Chris's last talk about the ones that are on beta at the moment. Currently, ones that are currently live and in GA is we have the Azure Developer Associate certification, AZ204. So if you are interested in taking a certification, I would go to Microsoft Learn. I would have a look at all the learning modules for this set certification and get familiar with the modules in order to take that certification. But I would perhaps, if you are at the beginning of your learning journey, you're at the beginning of your Microsoft certification journey, I would look more towards our fundamentals. So at the beginning, Chris spoke about our different levels of certifications, and fundamentals is a great place to start, as it is I like to think of it as a way to learn to describe our cloud technologies and also get familiar with our certifications, the learning modules, the multiple choice set questioning in our certifications as well, and then move on to the Azure Developer Associate would be my recommendation.
Yeah, excellent path. Yeah, learn the fundamentals, the basic, and then go deeper into the advanced role-based for the developer. Thank you, Megan. Christopher, back to you. We talk about different platforms where the students, the individuals can learn. What about getting ready for an exam? Do we have, what is an exam readiness?
Oh, that's a really cool thing that we're working on right now, exam readiness. It's actually a project that we've got going because we know there's this thing between learning and taking an exam. So exam readiness is really important for us. So we're actually investing into a project. Right now, it's only for our AZ500 certification as your security specialist. But what that is, it's going to make sure that on the Microsoft Learn, there's not just a learning content, there's some videos for you to watch, there's some exam prep sessions for you to attend, there's practice questions for you to get ready for the exam. So there's going to be a plethora of more support going to be on Microsoft Learn. Initially for AZ500, but our most popular certifications from kind of the beginning of July onwards, we're going to have adding more and more of that same goodness to Microsoft Learn, so that there's that jam in the sandwich, right, between learning and taking an exam. You want to just get prepped for that exam and have some more resources to help you get ready. So that's a really exciting project that we're just about to launch.
Excellent. Thanks. Thank you, Christopher, for the clarity. Before I'm looking through the chat, I'm trying to multitask. Christopher, are there any questions in the room? Because I cannot directly engage with that audience, but is there any question out the room, which I cannot see, but
Got a hand up already, Anastasia. Yeah.
Is there a question being raised?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the question there is that recently it's been noticed that here at Microsoft, we're condensing potentially what used to be 2 exams into 1 learning path or exam. And the developer was suggested there as one of them, which has been condensed into 1. We've been using a lot of research and customer feedback that actually having 2 very disparate learning paths for 1 particular certification, there was typically you'd have to take 1 learning path, sit the exam, you'd have to take another learning path, sit the exam, and like a transformer, they combined into your larger certification. We've tried to walk away where it makes sense. We've tried to walk away from that to make it a more consolidated learning journey and easier to follow. For every single example, that isn't the case. So I'll go back to our Azure architect certification, architect solution architect. That expert certification only comes after passing AZ104, just because you're going to need all of that knowledge to work as an architect in the Azure space. So you go through the administrator content and then you'll go and take the architect. But for some of the content, like you mentioned, we've seen it's from feedback that actually consolidating it would probably be a better solution for that particular one. But it isn't the right answer for everyone, absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you. Any other questions? No more questions in the room?
All right.
Nope.
Checking on the time, we have 5 minutes to go, so I will go ahead and pick up one more question from the audience. And again, I leave it to Megan and Christopher to respond. This is a more generic question. What is the criteria for companies to get enterprise skilling program with free Azure certification? I think this is a generic question. Are we open to answer? I would leave Christopher, Megan, your choice.
Do you want to take that, Megan, or would you like me to?
Chris, you go ahead.
Yeah, so of course at Microsoft, we're always looking. I mentioned learning culture earlier on, and we're a big advocate for it. And for large organizations, customers, and partners of Microsoft, we would like to hear from you. If you do have a big initiative to skill a large amount of people, there are ways that we can help. especially with the cost of instructor training, certifications, things like that. Of course, there's no promises, but where we can work together, we'd definitely like a conversation so that we can maybe make sure you're on the right plans, incentives, or programs that we might have to have around Microsoft skills. So please do reach out. It's also worth checking with your HR or L&D part of your organization as well, because they might be aware of different things that you have access to. So there's lots of platforms out there as well. I mentioned that all of our courses, it's an official curriculum, and there's other places where you can actually learn that content as well. So Microsoft Learn is the official way that we publish it, but we also partner with some other organizations as well who do that learning content, like Learning Partners. You can search for those on Microsoft Learn as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Megan. I'm just going to move forward. So we talk about the announcements we had during this event. And then there is another part where I wanted to kind of give you a bit of a call to action. Enjoy Build. But for this particular event, we have some local Cloud Skills Challenge. This is there is a link where you can sign up and complete the challenge that is associated for the particular region, UK in this case, and you can earn a free Microsoft certification exam. I said that the link is already on the chat window, so feel free to access. We have, of course, Microsoft Learn. This is a central platform where you can keep continuing your learning journey and get more access to skills, content, training, and certification path, and the certification details, which I believe is also posted on the chat window. And if we have no further questions, I would like to thank the excellent experts on the chat as well, right? We don't see them on screen, but they have been working hard through the last 30 minutes. So thank you for that. And we hope the answers get questioned. The questions get answered. And Christopher and Menga, thank you for representing our team and answering the questions.
Of course. I hope everyone continues to enjoy.
Please take advantage of that Cloud Skills Challenge. You go through the content, you get the free exam. So it's a really cool thing you can go through. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.